You infiltrated the Crips. Your partner was already inside. It's 2:33 a.m. in a stairwell in Compton. 3 floors up, the operation is still running. You can hear it, the specific low frequency of a building where men are awake and working and paying close attention to everything that moves. You are standing in the dark with a man you have known for 11 years. His name is Marcus Webb. Your partner. Your training officer when you came up in the department. The man who taught you how to read a room, how to build a cover, how to stay alive in the specific way that undercover work requires staying alive. Not just physically, but structurally, keeping the thread intact between who you are and who you're pretending to be. He is pressing his back against the stairwell wall and looking at the floor. He has been looking at the floor for 40 seconds. You say, Marcus. He doesn't look up. You say, how long? He says, 14 months. 14 months. Your operation is 9 months old. Marcus Webb has been inside the Roland 40s Crips for 14 months. 5 months before you arrived. 5 months during which he was building something inside the organization that had nothing to do with the case you were both supposedly working. You say, were you going to tell me? He says, I was going to tell you tonight. You say, tonight because. He says, because they know about you. Not everything, but enough. And I have until tomorrow morning to decide what I tell them. The stairwell is very quiet. The operation running 3 floors up is the operation you have been building for 9 months. The case that was supposed to end with 32 arrests and a RICO indictment that would dismantle the Roland 40s distribution network across 3 cities. Your partner has been inside it longer than you have. And tomorrow morning he has to decide which side of it he is on. 22 months before the stairwell. You are 36 years old. 8 years with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, the last 3 in the Organized Crime and Special Operations Bureau. Marcus Webb has been in OCSO for 15 years. He was your training officer in year 1, your partner in years 4 through 6, your supervisor briefly in year 7 before you both moved to undercover operations. You know Marcus Webb the way you know very few people, not just professionally but essentially. The way he moves through a room. The specific rhythm of how he thinks through a problem, the pauses that mean he's processing versus the pauses that mean he's decided. The tells that the job produces in everyone who does it long enough, the hyper-awareness of exits, the way the body angles toward threats before the mind names them. You think you know all of it. Your supervisor, Lieutenant Graves, puts the case on your desk on a Tuesday afternoon. She says, the Roland 40s have been expanding their distribution network for 3 years. Compton cell coordinates supply from South LA to distribution points in Long Beach, Inglewood, and Carson. We have the network mapped except for the command structure, who makes the decisions, who authorizes violence, who controls the money above the street level. That's what we need. She slides a folder across. She says, Marcus has been working a separate angle on this case. Intel gathering, source development. He's been in contact with a mid-level operator named Dre who has potential as a witness. We want you to do the insertion, build into the organization from the bottom, work up. Marcus will be your handler on the outside, coordinating the contact network. You say, Marcus isn't doing the insertion himself? She says, he's closer to this case than an insertion officer should be. He knows too many people in the network from the source development work. If someone recognizes him, the whole thing burns. You say, makes sense. It makes sense because it is plausible. You will spend 9 months inside an operation believing the plausible explanation for why your most experienced undercover officer was kept on the outside. The plausible explanation is wrong. Devin Carter. Your cover name is Devin Carter. 37 years old. Born in Hawthorne, raised in Inglewood. A history in the street economy that covers your 20s. Not membership in any specific set, but the independent existence that some men maintain on the edge of organized gang activity without full affiliation. The kind of man who has done enough to be credible and not so much that his history can be pinned to a specific event that someone will remember differently. The entry point is a man named Lil Ray. 24 years old, he operates a trap house on West Rosecrans and is always looking for reliable independent contractors for specific jobs, driving, holding, watching. The kind of entry-level work that evaluates a new person without exposing the organization. Marcus makes the introduction. This is the part that you will think about for a long time afterward. Marcus Webb, your handler on the outside, makes the introduction that puts Devin Carter in front of Lil Ray. At the time, it reads as your experienced handler using his source network to get you in the door. Later you will understand that Marcus is not using his network to help you. He is using you to help himself. But that comes later. Your communication system is standard, a check-in line that you call every 48 hours, a physical dead drop at a barbershop on Crenshaw that you use weekly. Marcus takes your calls. Marcus collects the dead drop. Marcus is the only person in the department who has real-time access to your operational intelligence. The first red flag is in week 3. You report that Lil Ray has mentioned a meeting happening at a specific address on Thursday. You report this on a Tuesday. By Thursday, the meeting does not happen. The address is empty. Lil Ray is confused. He says the meeting was rescheduled, but his confusion has the specific texture of someone who received information they didn't expect. You file it as a coincidence. Operational plans change. Meetings reschedule. The second red flag is in month 2. A man named Santos who operates above Lil Ray in the organization suddenly becomes unavailable, pulled from his role, replaced by someone new. Santos was a name you had flagged as a potential pathway to the command structure. The day after you flagged him in your Tuesday check-in, he was reassigned. You file it as a coincidence. You file 7 coincidences over 9 months before the stairwell at 2:33 a.m. The Roland 40s from the inside. The Roland 40s are a blood era set with 3 decades of institutional memory. They have survived multiple law enforcement operations, multiple attempts at disruption, multiple attempts at co-optation by larger organizations. The survival is not luck. It is adaptation. The command structure you are trying to reach is deliberately fragmented. No single person knows the full organizational picture. Information moves in one direction, up, and commands move down through intermediaries who know only their specific piece. The man at the center, known as D-Bone, has not been at an operational location in 4 years. He manages the organization through 3 lieutenants who communicate with him through a system that the department's signals intelligence unit has been unable to penetrate. What you discover over 9 months, moving from Lil Ray upward through the structure, is that the organization's primary defense against law enforcement is not operational security in the technical sense. It is information superiority. The Roland 40s know what law enforcement knows about them. Not everything, not always in real time, but enough to route around it. Enough to move people before they get flagged, change locations before they get surveilled, reschedule meetings before they get disrupted. You file this observation in month 4 in the dead drop. Marcus collects it. You do not yet understand that you are filing it with the source of the problem. In month 5, you meet a man named Terrence. Terrence is 39 years old. He has been in the Roland 40s since he was 16. He has done 8 years in California State Prison across 2 sentences and has emerged from both with his organizational loyalty intact and his position elevated, which is the specific career path of the organization's most trusted members. He manages the distribution network's logistics, not the money, the movement of product from supply point to the street-level operations. Terrence is also, you will eventually understand, the man who recruited Marcus. You do not understand this in month 5. In month 5, Terrence is simply the first person in the organization who speaks to you as someone worth speaking to, not as a new contractor being evaluated, but as a person whose experience and judgment he finds worth engaging. He asks about Inglewood. He asks what you've seen in the neighborhood over the last 10 years. He listens in the specific way of someone who is both gathering information and genuinely interested in what you have to say. Over the following 3 months, you and Terrence develop the specific proximity of 2 men who work in the same environment and find the other worth talking to. He never asks what you know about law enforcement operations in the area. He doesn't have to. He already has someone for that. 7 coincidences and a pattern. Month 6. You report through the dead drop that D-Bone is expected to make a rare direct appearance at a location in Carson on a specific Saturday. You report this on Thursday. Saturday. D-Bone does not appear. The location has 2 men in it who were not there before, men you don't recognize, placed there in the 24 hours before the expected visit. Watching. Not the kind of watch that greets a boss. The kind of watch that anticipates a different kind of arrival. You are in the location when you understand this. You leave without reason given, which is acceptable at your level, and you walk to your car and you sit and you do an accounting you should have done 4 months ago. 7 times an operational intelligence report has produced an outcome consistent with that intelligence being received by the organization before the department could act on it. 7 times you have filed it as a coincidence because the alternative, that your handler is the leak, is not a thing you want to be true about Marcus Webb. You do not call the check-in line that night. You go to a pay phone 3 miles from a location and call the department's Inspector General office directly. You give them the 7 incidents. You give them the dates, the reports, the outcomes. You give them Marcus Webb's name. The IG officer who takes your call is quiet for a moment. Then, we've had a file open on Webb for 3 months. We've been trying to locate the source of the leaks without burning your operation. We didn't know how to reach you without going through him. 3 months. The IG has been investigating Marcus Webb for 3 months without being able to tell you because the only contact line they had for you ran through Marcus Webb. You say, "What do I do?" The IG officer says, "Keep working. Don't change anything. We need you in place for what comes next." What comes next is 3 months of knowing. The hardest part. The hardest part is not being in danger. You have been in danger since month 1. Danger is a condition of the work and you have learned, over 8 years, to exist inside it without being consumed by it. The hardest part is calling the check-in line every 48 hours and talking to Marcus Webb as Devin Carter while knowing what you know, and not knowing what he knows, and performing the operational relationship that has structured your professional life for 11 years as though it is still what it has always been. Marcus is good. He has always been good. He asks the right questions, responds with the right guidance, maintains the specific tone of an experienced handler managing a productive insertion. Nothing in his voice tells you that he is managing you toward an outcome that serves the Roland 40s. You are good too. You have been doing this for 8 years. Your voice on the check-in line is Devin Carter's voice, and Devin Carter does not know about the IG investigation, and Devin Carter does not know about the 7 coincidences, and Devin Carter does not know that the man he is talking to has been inside the organization he is infiltrating for 14 months. What Devin Carter does, in those 3 months, is feed the operation. Deliberately, strategically, with the specific knowledge of what is being fed and to whom, you provide Marcus with intelligence that the IG team can track. You report meeting locations and watch the watchers. You report personnel movements and observe who is repositioned. You report financial information and monitor where it surfaces. 3 months of this produces something the IG's 3-month investigation alone could not: a documented chain of intelligence transmission from you to Marcus to the Roland 40s. Every link in the chain is recorded, time-stamped, verifiable. By the end of month 9, you have not just the RICO case against the Roland 40s. You have the case against Marcus. You give the IG team the signal on a Friday, a specific phrase on the check-in line that means tomorrow night. The operation executes Saturday. The warrants are ready. The arrest teams are positioned. There is one thing left to do before Saturday. The stairwell. You call Marcus on Saturday at midnight. Not the check-in line. His personal cell. The number you have had for 11 years. The number that is saved in your phone under a contact that says the nickname you gave him in year 1 of your partnership, the nickname that came from a specific story about a specific night that only the 2 of you know. He picks up on the 2nd ring. You say, "I need to see you. In person. Tonight." He doesn't ask why. Men who have been partners for years don't ask why when the call sounds like this call sounds. He says, "Where?" You say, "The building on Rosecrans. Stairwell." He comes. This is the thing about Marcus Webb. Whatever else he is, whatever he built inside the Roland 40s for 14 months, whatever he decided and when and why, he comes when you call. He is in the stairwell at 2:22 a.m. You get there at 2:33. He is pressing his back against the wall when you arrive. Already. As though he came here knowing what the conversation was going to be. You look at him for a long time. Then you say, "Marcus." He doesn't look up. You say, "How long?" He says, 14 months. And then you are in the place where the script began. You say, "Were you going to tell me?" He says, "I was going to tell you tonight." You say, Tonight because they know about me. He says, tonight because I'm done. The stairwell. He says, I'm done with all of it. The case, the organization, the thing I've been doing for 14 months that I cannot explain to you in a way that will make sense and that I'm going to spend the rest of my life explaining to someone. You say, explain it to me now. He looks up. He says, my nephew. He's 19. 3 months ago, D-Bone had him picked up for a debt he couldn't pay. Not a drug debt, a gambling debt to someone in the organization's network. $2,200. They told me either the debt gets paid or the nephew gets a lesson. You say, and you paid it. He says, I paid it with information. The first time. And the first time bought the second time, and the second time bought 14 months, and here we are in a stairwell at 2:30 in the morning, and my nephew is alive, and I have done things that I'm going to be trying to undo for the rest of my career if I have one. You say, they know about me, Marcus. How much do they know? He says, your cover name. That you came in through Lil Ray. That you've been building toward the command structure. They don't know your real name. They don't know the IG investigation. You say, do they know about Saturday? He says, no. You say, because you didn't tell them. He says, because I didn't tell them. He looks at you. He says, I've been trying to figure out for 3 weeks how to stop being what I've been for 14 months. I couldn't figure it out alone. That's why tonight. The stairwell is quiet. You say, the IG has you, Marcus. They have the chain. They've had it for 3 months. He nods, as though this confirms something he already knew. He says, I know. You say, how? He says, because you kept feeding me. Specifically. Trackably. The way someone feeds a chain they're documenting, not the way someone feeds a case they're building. I've trained enough officers to know the difference. He taught you to do exactly what you did to him. He says, what happens now? You say, Saturday happens. The warrants execute. You come in with the cooperation team tonight, before the arrests, and we debrief everything. He says, my nephew. You say, is not part of this. Whatever he did, he's not part of this. I'll make sure that's on the record. He is quiet for a long time. He says, you do that. You say, you taught me to. He pushes off the wall. He straightens up. He looks, for the first time in the stairwell, like the man you trained under 11 years ago. Not exactly, not completely, but in the specific posture of someone who has made a decision and is standing in it. He says, let's go. Saturday. The warrants execute at 7 a.m. across Compton, Long Beach, Inglewood, and Carson. 34 arrests. The Roland 40's distribution network, documented by one undercover officer over 9 months and partially exposed by the IG's parallel investigation, is sufficient for a RICO indictment that covers the full command structure. D-Bone is arrested at a residence in Long Beach at 7:12 a.m. He has not been at an operational location in 4 years, and he is arrested at his actual home, which the IG investigation identified through the chain of intelligence transmissions that Marcus fed to Terrence over 14 months. Intelligence that, when analyzed against what the organization actually knew, revealed D-Bone's location through what he chose to protect. Marcus Webb gave the department D-Bone's location without knowing he was doing it. The information he fed the Roland 40s was specific enough to reveal, through analysis, what D-Bone considered worth protecting. The IG team worked backward from that analysis. It took 3 months. Terrence is arrested at the distribution warehouse in Compton at 6:58 a.m. He looks at the arresting agents with the specific expression of a man who has run the calculation and knows the math. Lil Ray is arrested at his apartment. He doesn't resist. He asks if he can feed his dog first. The agents let him. Marcus Webb is processed separately at the department, beginning at 3 a.m. Saturday. The cooperation debrief runs 7 hours. He gives them everything, the 14 months of contact, every intelligence transmission, every instruction from Terrence, every piece of information about D-Bone's location and methods that he gathered while managing your operation. His attorney is present throughout. The cooperation agreement is filed before the external warrants execute. His nephew is not charged with anything. What 11 years costs? The departmental review runs 4 months. You are interviewed 6 times. The IG's documented case against Marcus Webb is airtight. The chain of intelligence transmissions is logged, time-stamped, and corroborated by the outcomes you tracked over 9 months. Marcus receives a plea agreement. 14 counts, cooperation credit applied. The sentence is 7 years, with eligibility for early release at 4 based on the extent and quality of his cooperation. His cooperation was extensive. His cooperation was the case against D-Bone. The case against D-Bone is the case that dismantles the Roland 40s. You testify at his sentencing hearing. Not on the charges. On the cooperation. On the specific value of 14 months of documented intelligence that, when properly analyzed by the IG team, revealed the command structure that 4 years of conventional investigation had not located. His attorney thanks you afterward in the hallway. You say, he earned it. The attorney says, he says the same about you. You see Marcus once before he is transferred to the facility. A 15-minute supervised conversation in a room at the department that smells like old coffee and something institutional that you have never been able to name. He says, the nephew is okay. You say, I know. I checked. He says, I should have come to you in month 1. The debt, the nephew, all of it. You would have found a way. You say, you don't know that. He says, I trained you. I know that. Neither of you says anything for a while. He says, how's the operation feeling? After. You say, like something that worked and cost too much. He nods. He says, that's most of them. They take him out. You sit in the room for a few minutes. Lieutenant Graves reassigns you 2 months after the sentencing. Different case, different organization, different cover identity that you build from scratch in a different city. She says, when she gives you the assignment, do you want a new handler? You think about it. You say, yes. She says, anyone specific? You say, someone I don't know. She looks at you. She says, that's usually how the problems start. Not knowing someone. You say, in this case I think it's how they stop. She assigns you someone new. You build the relationship from nothing, the slow way, the right way, without the 11 years of assumption that makes it easy to miss what is happening right in front of you. The Roland 40s reconstituted within 6 months. New leadership, adjusted structure, the same territory. The same territory because the territory is the point. Not the people, not the leadership, not the specific organizational structure that took 9 months to document. The territory and the need and the economics that make the territory worth controlling. Those things do not get arrested. What you carry from the operation is not the case. Not the RICO indictment. Not the 34 arrests or D-Bone in custody or the dismantled distribution network. What you carry is the stairwell at 2:33 a.m. A man you trained under for a year looking at the floor of a stairwell and telling you how long. 14 months. The specific weight of someone who did a wrong thing for a reason that was human and recognizable and completely insufficient. And the question you have not answered, that you turn over in the car on the way to new cases in new cities. If it had been your nephew, if it had been someone specific and irreplaceable and $2,200 between them and a lesson they wouldn't recover from, would you have called him? Or would you have been in the stairwell too, looking at the floor, waiting for someone who trusted you to come find you and ask how long?